For my CEDC, I chose to dive into the party scene I was not typically a participant in. If I am drinking, I like to be in my home or a friend's home with a small group of my good friends. So I do not typically go party hopping on the weekends when most of my friends do. One activity during the week for many partygoers is bear crawl. At bear crawl, all bars open up to 18 and older students. Each person pays $10 for admittance, and 21-year-olds and above receive a cup that they can have refilled as many times as they want throughout the night. Overall, it's a pretty good deal and a hot spot for UNC students every Wednesday night in downtown Greeley. On March 4th, I met up with two of my good friends at my house. We hung out for a bit and went to one of their houses, the Cheer House, where a pregame was happening. A typical start to a night of partying usually begins with a pregame. We hung out at the pregame until 9:30, then, with the designated drivers at the wheel, everyone left the house and adventured to bar crawl. I went to each bar for about 45 minutes and left right before midnight. Afterwards, me, my two friends, and I met up at the beginning of the night, and a few other people that joined us, went back to the pregame house nearby and stayed up hanging out and sharing stories from our night with each other until we fell asleep around 1. Once I met up with my friends, nervousness set in and manifested itself in the questions like, am I going to be awkward? How do I socialize with drunk people? Will people realize this is not my scene? But with every hour I found the answers to these questions. I simply had to be kind to people and they would accept me with open arms. The thoughts and questions I was forming throughout the night directly affected how I felt emotionally overall. At the beginning of the night, I felt the uncomfortable mix of nervousness, anxiety, excitement, and eagerness for what awaited in my night ahead pulse through my entire body. Together, this mix of feelings left me in a cloud of uncertainty. I tried to imagine what the night was going to be like, but I had only gone out a few times before, so I could only imagine. But as my questions were answered and I realized people were pretty accepting and down to just have fun, my feelings were those of happiness, joy, carelessness, and excitement. These were more appropriate emotions of partying than my initial ones. I also noticed at the beginning of the night I stayed sitting more, looked up, took up less space, moved around less, and had my arms folded a lot. These were physical manifestations of my worrisome thoughts, but as my thoughts changed throughout the night and my questions were answered, I became more social, talking with my hands, moving around the bars, and talking louder. In regards to how I physically pictured the pregame house and the bars to be, I was pretty close to how they actually appeared. The pregame was a smaller group of people, and there was beer pong, and they also had darts. Then at the bars there were lots of bar stools, neon bar signs, and a lot of crowding. Every place throughout the night had music playing. I was proved wrong when I predicted where most of the social interactions would take place, as I believed most conversations would be going on while people were dancing, because I thought people danced with each other at bars to get to know each other, but most socializing went on at the actual bar, over drinks and toasts, or between groups of people just standing around. In regards to human behavior, I expected people to be pretty loud and drunk, and I also expected a lot of flirting, as it seemed the main reason for a lot of people going out on the weekends was to find a potential future someone, or a person to just hook up with. Overall, people were louder than they were in the normal daily lives. This was probably because of alcohol and the party environment that encourages screaming and yelling out of joy or even anger sometimes. Even when just two people were talking, they would both be talking pretty high level to hear each other because of the music and other people around them being loud as well. One of the things I found most interesting from the interview is the response my friend gave when I asked, "Why do people get together as a group to drink before going to parties?" He responded with, "'Cause it's fucking fun to get hammered with your friends. If you get hammered by yourself, you're an alcoholic." What I saw here was an act that would normally be looked down upon and stigmatized is viewed in an opposite lens when there is a group involved because it is then socially supported and justified as okay. I learned from this comment that people know inside that drinking is not the best in the world for them, but one can justify their bad behavior if a group is taking part. This example of a perception shift due to social attitudes caught my attention during the interview. I learned from my project a lot about human behavior. I shouldn't be surprised that partying is such a popular activity, especially for young people that may still not be comfortable with being alone and want to solidify their position as part of a group. Being part of a group puts our minds at ease a bit, knowing that we have social support whenever we may need it. At the same time that partying fulfills a social need, it also fulfills an individual's need to let go of all worries and be at peace, only if it's just for a night. I learned that partying might not be as bad as I thought because it's just another form of stress release. When others release stress through partying, I would normally be relieving stress through camping or hiking, but that is because I grew up in rural areas my entire life where the outdoors were always available to me. Drinking was not on my what to do for fun list growing up. Even throughout high school, I refrained from going to parties because I didn't want to drink. I recognize now that everyone that parties is going out just to have fun, and that the negative things that do happen are a result of individuals drinking too much, not just because people were partying. Partying plays an important role in our society, and for those just wanting to be free of worry for once.